Today was one of the most dangerous days I've had in a long time. Not because I lost money, I didn't. I finished the morning up about $70, but I also did not earn it. Once again, the market rewarded me for bad habits, and that's exactly the kind of day that will ultimately hurt me the most, as it only reinforces the belief that holding on to losing trades makes sense. Right at 9, I immediately shorted Tesla after it had been the strongest of the Mag 7 stocks, while most others were either lagging or trading in the red. With Tesla reporting earnings after the close tomorrow and not seeing any news that might explain the move, I assumed the spike was simply a pre earnings excitement and immediately jumped in. About a minute after entering my 25 share short, I was already stopped out. But instead of slowing down and reassessing, I went right back in at 908, this time going up to a 50 share short position. As Tesla continued climbing, I was stopped out again. But rather than accepting I was wrong, or at the very least just taking a breath, I kept adding back to the position in 25 share increments, which immediately cost me the first 5 points of my average down category. Then came my biggest mistake. At 9:29, convinced Tesla had finally reached resistance and sitting on roughly $175 of unrealized losses, I chased the trade by buying two put options. That dropped my average down score to zero and completely violated the disciplined approach I'd spent the last 4 days practicing with precision. And of course, Tesla kept climbing. At one point, my unrealized losses approached $400, wiping out my maximum daily loss category as well. At 9:47, I bought a third put option and simply waited, hoping Tesla would reverse. At that point, I wasn't executing a strategy, I was just hoping. Fortunately, around 10:30 this morning, Tesla finally rolled over, and what had been nearly a $400 unrealized loss turned into a $50 realized gain. That, along two small gains in Amazon and Apple, brought the day up to $70. But as I've said so many times before, this was nothing close to skill. In fact, making $70 today feels worse than what a loss of $100 while following my plan would have felt like. Today was luck, and I just don't like that. Days like this are dangerous because they reinforce bad behavior. They whisper that if I'm patient enough or stubborn enough, the market will eventually bail me out. The reality is that more times than not, it won't. That's a lesson I'm still trying so hard to remember. There have been too many days where I've held an average down into losses that never recovered. That's exactly why I need to master my maximum daily loss rule before the next bad trade wipes out weeks or even months of progress. The one thing I can honestly point to as an improvement happened in the middle of all this. The old version of me would certainly have kept piling into the position until I was staring at a 4 digit unrealized loss. While that voice was still there telling me to add more, today it was surprisingly easy to ignore it, and I refused to add on more risk. While that's not nearly enough to call today a success, it still feels like progress. It shows that even a poor discipline day, some of my habits are beginning to change. The other thing that I got right came after the recovery. I was mentally exhausted, disappointed in myself, and knew my discipline score had already taken a beating. In the past, I would have kept trading, trying to push the day over $100 or convince myself I would somehow turn it into a good day. Today, I felt almost no urge to do that. I accepted the gift the market had given me, shut everything down, and walked away. Therefore, while I do not deserve a 10 in the walk away category, as I should have done that far earlier, I gave myself 5 points for not going even farther, which thankfully brought my monthly average score down to 6.86 and overall down to 6.72 versus a score that could have been far lower. So while my streak is once again over, I don't think today was a total loss, but it did expose a weakness that still has a potential to destroy me if I don't fix it. Today wasn't proof that my approach works. It was proof that I got away with breaking my rules. Next time I may not be so lucky, and I do need to remember that. I'll see you all tomorrow after the close.